Good morning, Wind Chasers. Welcome to another episode of Chasing the Wind. Thanks for joining me. We really appreciate it. You know, I'm going to say something that I just really want to say. Like and subscribe and smash that like button so we can get more views. And then go check out our merch. Andy, do we have merch? We don't have merch. Don't check out our merch. We're going to get merch. Anyway, I love those words. Smash that like. I have my favorite channels. I mean, smash that like button. Okay. Subscribe down below. Whatever you got to do. Anyway, I digress. But I regress. Progress? I'm doing something here. I want to talk about something that I guess some of my pastors' heart's coming out a little bit. I've heard people say to me, well, the church failed my kids. Really? I'm not saying that probably hasn't happened. I remember hearing that from a parent one time that was very interesting because the one parent was the youth leader at the time their kids were in the youth group. And I remember hearing people tell me, oh, we had so many kids, it was such a big youth group. And I remember saying to him, I said, well, where are they all at now? And crickets, cheep, cheep. No one says a word. You just hear the crickets singing, you know. I said, where are they? I said, what was the youth group? Well, we played a lot of games. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of kids here. I said, well, what did you do for, like, spiritual growth to help them? Well, we didn't do much. And yet the church failed your kids. And so, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen sometimes. There's things that happen in churches. I understand that. I probably have hurt people in my church. I have been hurt in the church. Okay, I've been hurt by leadership in my church. You know, boards as well as just individuals, but also by district superintendents. Okay, retired pastors and their wives. I've had retired pastors' wives who had great phone ministries, if you know what I mean, of which I was usually the topic, and not for good reasons. Weren't telling everybody what I did right. I understand that the church it's got people in it, and they're imperfect people, and that's okay. That's where they belong, and hopefully they're going to hear the word. But we need to be careful when we start saying, well, the church, ruined my kids. Well, if you're the youth leader and your kids are not in church, don't necessarily, you were the one at the time, and maybe you were, maybe you weren't. Doesn't matter. Because here's the other thing. This whole idea of Sunday school and youth groups and stuff, those were developed later. You know who used to be responsible for their children's upbringing in the faith? Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad. It's like the pastor's kid that said, hey, Dad, why don't you be a jerk at church and be nice at home for once, okay? It happens. It happens. I get that. Wounded people wound people. Hurting people hurt people, quoting John Maxwell yet again. But here's the thing, people. That I always ask people, well, I'm not coming back because that person was mean to me. And I said, well, were there people that were nice to you? Oh, yeah, the rest of the church was really nice. So I said, you're going to give your power away to one person and stop you from coming to church. I think I've talked about this before, but you know what? It's just come full circle again for me. And this time, it's come with the idea of, well, the church ruined my kids. They're not coming. No. We got to quit compartmentalizing church, especially in these days, folks. We don't have to worry about them coming door to door yet and checking our phones and seeing if there's Bible apps on them and stuff like that. But the day may come. The old saying: if you were on trial for being a Christian, would there be enough evidence to prove you guilty? And so the question we have to ask ourselves is: did the church fail our kids, or do we have some ownership in that? I'm pleased to not hear this accusatory. There's things I'm just asking you to search your heart. If you're one of those people that says the church ruined my kid, they failed my kid. As part of what I think one of our problems is today too is we're not teaching We don't have to deal with people failing us anymore. If we do, we just cancel them. We just cancel the friendship. I don't like you. I had a 2-hour civil discourse with a pastor friend of mine the other day. And I'm going to tell you, I find it very hard to trust pastors today myself. I'm just confessions of a pastor here. I don't know which pastors I can trust and which ones I can't, because there is so much division even in the church these days. But this good brother and friend of mine, we had a 2-hour civil discourse. We didn't agree on everything, but you know what? We agreed on loving each other and acknowledging each other's position and saying, okay, I get what you're coming from. I agree with you to some degree. And you may say, well, I don't agree with you on this one, Mark. Well, you don't have to. But I do hope you'll take a moment and say, wait a minute. Yeah, there probably are some areas, but maybe there was that one person who said that one thing wrong. I would not be in the church today if I went by some things I saw. I saw a lady one time tear into a choir director for a Christmas cantata, and I was a young Christian. I'm thinking, what in the world? Fortunately, I had some other Christians who came to me, and they did damage control with me. And you know what they did? They went to this sister, and she was a sister, and they went and talked to her. And this is funny, but she came to me about a week later and she apologized. She goes, and it was more than what I needed to know. She goes, I don't know how to say this, Mark, but it was that time of the month. I'm like, okay, this is way more than I need to hear. You know, you could have just said I was in a bad place that day. Well, you know what? You ever been in a bad place? I get that. There's days I've had to go and apologize. You know, that thing that we aren't encouraged to do too much today. Here's the other thing we're not encouraged to do is to forgive. And so when I do hear people, and I hear it, people come and say, yeah, I don't go to church anymore because people there were mean. They're hypocrites. One thing I was saying, well, there's room for one more, so come on. And I said, and there's no better place for him. There's no better place for a hypocrite to be. Because, the church is supposed to be a hospital for the hurting. And it's supposed to be a place where people can come and say, man, I didn't know that. This is what I need to do. So before we start dogging the church too bad, I know we've failed the church has failed as much as the government has failed, and as much as you have failed and I have failed. But thank God that he is there with us and that he looks and he says, we go through this Romans 7 thing. Man, the things I want to do, I don't do. The things I don't want to do, I do. Who will rescue me? Thank God through Jesus Christ. Paul says. Paul knows that we cannot do this on our own, that we need the Holy Spirit. We need Jesus working in our lives. So before we start getting down on the church, and I was there for a while, folks. I mean, there was a while I thought I was done pastoring, that I would never pastor again. And God said, no, you are. And you know what? It helped me pastor from a better place. And do I always get it right? I will be the first to say I don't. If you're watching this and I have hurt you, I apologize and I am sorry. And you know what? That was not my intention. And hopefully I've made up, there's been enough other positive things that it's made up for the negative ones. But you know what? I have looked, and I can name the people who've hurt me in the church, who have failed me, how the church has failed me. But I can also look at the church, and I can remember those good saints that loved me when I first became a Christian. I can remember my spiritual mother. I can remember my spiritual brother who came alongside me and loved me and had patience with me. And I remember Martin Arney, the pastor that led me to Jesus, just loving me, helping me along the way and guiding me. My first church, oh my goodness, those people, they get sainthood right off the bat. They can walk in and say, oh, it's them. Mark was their pastor for a while. Let him in. Let him in. We're going to experience failure. And we are going to fail others sometimes. Let's not be too quick to judge, except for to look first at ourselves. We point this way, you have 3 fingers pointing back, as the old saying goes. There's also another one, that scripture, it says somewhere, it doesn't say this actually, but it just sounded good. You spot it, you got it. You're complaining about something, you might want to look and say, is that me? I'm meddling now. I get accused of this all the time. Cross the line, meddling alert. I just want you to take a look at it and say, who are we following? Jesus said, follow me. And Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. And the things you see me or any other pastor or any other Christian doing that aren't of Christ, don't follow that. But that means you got to take a little responsibility for your own spiritual well-being too, and say, you know what, am I where I'm supposed to be? So I'm going to leave it right there, Wind Chasers. Time for us to take a look at some things and say, you know what, let's see where this goes. And God, what in my life? Search me, Lord, and see if there be any unclean way in me. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. So I love you, Wind Chasers. Thanks for joining me. Spread the word. Hit the subscribe button. Like and share. Get the merch. Okay, we're going to get some merch because I want to use that word some more. Keep chasing the wind, Wind Chasers, because the wind is chasing you. Until next time, I'm Pastor Mark. Grace and peace.